Okay, so I had a question on my last video from Sam. Sam, you asked me, can I do a video on how to heal the root cause of social anxiety disorder? So I'll do the best I can in this video. I'll definitely teach and share everything that I know. I'll share everything that helped me, and then I'll share things that help my clients. The first thing that comes to mind, Sam, it's not just to Sam, it's to so many people that follow me that want to improve the social anxiety. I know where you're coming from, but I do think there is a naivety in this question, and I totally get it, because I don't think you're going to heal the root cause of your social anxiety disorder, or I can do it, or anyone, in the way that you think. But I can definitely give you the best possible teaching that I've found, and obviously if you can do any better than that, then that's great, let me know. So, you know, when we're talking about the root cause, I could tell you all what I believe is the cause. But if we're being honest, none of us really know, like, what is the fundamental truth cause of social anxiety. It's a combination of things. So obviously, we know that social anxiety is a result of childhood trauma. But then when we go into childhood trauma, there's many different aspects. So I could say, well, the reason why I had such bad social anxiety to begin with was because I got bullied at school. And that's absolutely true. But that's not the full extent of the truth. There are other things that affect us. You know, I also believe, and I'm not 100% on this, but I'm quite certain that some of social anxiety is hereditary, that we get some of it from our parents, our family. It's in our DNA, it's in our ancestors. I'm not saying that's all of it, but I do believe that some of it is hereditary, because I do feel like, in my own intuition, my own instincts, that I always did have some social anxiety even before I underwent bullying and trauma. Obviously, the bullying and the trauma that we undergo, it makes it worse. So does that make sense? And then you've got the pressure of society. But I want to get you to change your mindset if you want to. This is what has changed me and my clients. Now, in regards to when you're asking me how I healed and how I help others, on a simple, practical level, to get straight to the point, the way that I healed my social anxiety was by going out and facing my fears. And there was a lot of work that went into that. So that wasn't just like, okay, I've got social anxiety. I've kind of realized the root cause, which is abuse, bullying, name calling, a lot of traumatic situations that I went in my childhood. That's the root cause, the pain that's caused the anxiety. So for me, it was a continuous process. It was a continuous process of taking action and growing. But I totally see where you're coming from. And you're being very human in your questioning. It's a good question to start with. But in my experience, once you get out and you start making progress, like most things in life that you actually experience and achieve, as opposed to the ideas in your head, is very, very different. I actually think it's awesome. So I think, well, I know that what I've done for myself, my transformation, and a lot of you have seen it over the years. You've not seen all of it, obviously, because you guys didn't know me from the very start. It's incredible what I've done, but I feel like I understand what's going on in your head at the moment. You're probably looking at me and others and thinking that you're going to get to a place. You're never going to get to a place where you're going to be completely fear-free socially. You know, that's just not possible. You know, unless people are psychopaths, which I know we're not. So it's not going to be like that, but it can be way better than it is now for you. But you're going to have to take a lot of action. And the process, it's not always like this, but there are periods where it's extremely painful. It's definitely going to be uncomfortable. But you guys know my message. Even though these things we're talking about, they've got negative connotations, trauma, fear, emotional pain, getting uncomfortable. But if you change your mindset, which I've done, and I've done it over a period of 15 years, I'm not saying it's going to take you that long. I help people to do it in 6 weeks if they're dedicated. You won't think of trauma in the way that you think of it. Like, everything, your perception of your challenges, your social anxiety will change. So you have to take action. You've got to keep putting yourself in social situations. You've got to do exposure therapy. You've got to put yourself in social situations that trigger your social anxiety. They make you self-conscious. They make you nervous. All the symptoms that we've all had. You know, the inability to hold eye contact, the inability to express yourself in social situations, the inability to relax. You've got to go through that, and you've got to grow through that. And I'm not just saying to you, Sam, thousands of people that follow my channel. And I'm being straight with you, right? I hope you take it well, because I was naive the same way you was. You know, I was asking the same questions, and it's a good starting point. But it's not, like, the starting point is not where you want to stay, because it's too painful. And I really want to help you to move past it, and you seem open-minded enough. So it's a case of, okay, I'm traumatized. I've got this social anxiety. I'm struggling. How can we start making progress? And that's what I do for my clients, and that's what I do for myself. So it's an ongoing thing, but you can change your life. So, you know, that's why I say it's not like the ideas. See, we got an idea like in the movie that you've got like this trauma in you, like I don't know why a plant's come to my head. Man, I want to get some new plants in my house. But you almost got like a disease in you, and a teacher's going to come along and reach in, and he's going to rip the root cause of the trauma out. And you know, maybe metaphorically that can help you to understand it, but in reality it isn't like that. You know, it's like the pain that you have, the energy, if you go out and face your fears, you will exercise the demons out of you and the trauma, but it's going to be a lot of work, you know, and it's going to be a case where, I know from my experience, there's certain anxieties socially that you can completely eradicate, but there's certain ones that you can't fully get rid of, but you'll be able to monitor them and control them. So if by that you mean, if that's what you mean in your question, then this is how I've done it, and this is what I teach. You know, you desensitize yourself through getting more practice. So, you know, I wouldn't really worry. It's up to people. Everyone's different. But a lot of people make this mistake, and I've made it, where they focus too much about the past. You can't change the past to a certain degree. Well, but we can change now. We can change the future. So when I work with my clients, look, I'm a very open-minded person, right? I'm a huge believer in being flexible because everyone's different. But generally, I won't go into their past straight away. It's not appropriate for me. I focus on, okay, you have this problem right now. Where do you want to get to? Let's set goals. I help my clients to move forward. So moving forward is how you overcome, you heal, you recover from social anxiety disorder, i.e. trauma. Because that's what holds people back. People are traumatized, which they're in pain. They're in pain, they're traumatized. Every time they try and move forward and they try and start relationships, or they try and start a new job, or they try and go out and meet people, the pain and the fear is so overwhelming that it stops them. So for me, it was all about unstucking myself. And once I did it, I started to teach. And obviously, I don't know how well you know me, Sam, how long you've been following me, and you guys, but I've helped so many people. I don't know the number, it's too many. So my approach does work 100%, but it might not be in the way that your mind is hoping that it will be. It's going to be a lot more painful, if I'm being honest, but it's worth it. It's worth it for me, and it's worth it for my clients, and it's worth it. Depends on what you value. Obviously, try other teachers, see what they say. But I've tried everything out there, and I haven't found anything that is effective as, I'm not even going to say it's my teaching, because it's not really my teaching. It's what life taught me. It's what experience taught me, and then I pass it on. But I've definitely developed some of my own strategies and teachings. So you've got to move forward, you know. And sometimes in order to move forward, you've got to go back. I am a believer in therapy, in that there is a time and a place for it, but I think there's a time where you can overdo it. And what I mean by that is going and seeing a psychologist and a therapist can be very helpful as a starting point, or to get you through certain episodes. I've done it, it does work, but it's not enough. Like, you're going to need to go out and face these fears. So that's how you do it. You overcome social anxiety and trauma by going out and moving forward and facing your fears. That's what I've done. Because the mindset that most people are in with social anxiety is that they feel like they can't change the label. They built an identity around the trauma. They built an identity around, well, I have social anxiety. And over time, you start realizing that that doesn't have to be your identity. It's not my identity anymore, because I changed it. It was a lot of work, and I helped my clients to do it. So I know I'm repeating myself, but it needs to be repeated, and I want to talk you through it. Hopefully trigger some ideas in you, and obviously, even if you just resonate with one thing I've said, I've done my job, and I'm very confident that something I've said will inspire you and help you and get you to go on this journey and get you to sort yourself out. Whether you do that with me, or whether you do that with someone else, or whether you do it on your own accord, brilliant. You know, it's it's a process. You've got to keep working at it, and you might find yourself needing to talk to someone to get things out. It does help. I've always, I don't plan this in my coaching sessions, but it's something that just happens naturally, and I always welcome it when it does, because it helps people. If people start opening up to me in a session, I keep it private, and they need to get things out. My policy is get it out, don't be embarrassed in front of me. I'm not going to judge you. I can't judge you, and I wouldn't, because I've had all the same issues that all you guys have had. So there's nothing really you're going to say that I'm going to be shocked by, and that's actually a strength. So yes, getting things out is important, but at some point we've got to go, right, these are my issues, this is how I feel, this is what's getting me down, these are the symptoms. Maybe you feel better by figuring out, I know I went through a stage as well, I kind of knew the answers, I knew where most of my trauma come from, right? It come from a challenging relationship to begin with my dad. That did affect me. It wasn't just that, but that played a part. I think that's true for most of us with our parents, right? A lot of my trauma was I got bullied at school, so that was probably most of it. And I also underwent a lot of bullying around my area. And then you guys know my story. Later on, I started to fight back physically and socially. But by then, the damage had been done. School teachers. So it's a combination of abuse, criticism, bullying, fights. You know, you go through these things and it affects you. And you have certain situations that, like, I come back to a thing that happened to me at school, and this might help you to figure out your stuff, where the school teacher said to me, she called me to the front of the class, I remember it. She asked me to read a chapter out of the book, and I was very nervous, very shy, and the class looked massive and I weren't comfortable. And as I was walking up to the class, I could feel my face trembling and the nerves, and I couldn't read it out, right? And you know when your younger kids laugh, and she was like pushing me, and I hated it. I didn't like the feeling. So that memory stayed on my psychology. It did traumatize me. It did make me feel ashamed, and it made me fearful of putting myself in those situations again. But now where I am now, I've healed from that. That doesn't affect me, because I've done so many public talks really well, so many videos, so many coaching sessions. So I've got that out of my system now. I've proved that. So I hope that will help you to figure out some of the things that you need to do. So that's what it is. It's a lot of demons we carry. We have a lot of mental recordings of times where things went wrong and we felt ashamed or embarrassed. So the only way I know how to undo that is you've got to build confidence today and thereon after in the future, because we can't go back in a time machine. But this is going to sound a bit contradictory. The more work we do now and in the future, the more we kind of can go back, because now I can sort of look back at my childhood, and I know it sounds a bit deep, guys, but I think you guys are open-minded. You don't mind. You probably enjoy it. I can sort of see that. Look, I can see me as a boy. I can see those situations, and I can look at myself now and not hate myself or be ashamed or disgusted. I can say I'm just a lovely, genuine kid who was struggling. I can understand it. I can forgive myself now. And as you can hear, that's because I've done a lot of healing. But that wouldn't have came if I didn't build the confidence and take the action. So if someone said to me, what is the one thing you could give any human being to help them? I don't even have to think about it. It would be to tell them to take action now on their fears, in their life, in their social situations, all areas, because that's going to give you the substance you need, which is self-esteem, feel good, genuine confidence. And you're not going to gain self-esteem and confidence alone just by sitting in a therapy chair and talking something. That's going to help, don't get me wrong. So I'm not knocking that. I'm not saying don't do that. Please do that, guys, because that's probably helped a lot of people who are suicidal to not do that. But in my experience, that's not enough. And let me explain even why. So let's say you have a bad anxiety, trauma around people, and you can't ask a girl out because you're so afraid that she'll say no. You just physically can't do it. So if I sit in a chair and talk to a therapist, that will help me to relieve it. But the therapist can't ask a woman out for me. She can't really do that. I've got to get out and learn how to do that and walk on my own 2 feet. I've got to learn how to walk up. So that's the essence of my teaching. That's where the truth of my teaching comes from. It was born out of me going, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm lost. I'm looking for answers. I don't know what the answers are. I've got all these issues. I'm insecure. I'm anxious. I'm nervous. I'm depressed. I'm not successful. I started looking for answers. And as you look for answers, you go through many things. Oh, well, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. I've tried that. That person's lying, or that wasn't effective. And when you find it, you go, wow, that worked. And obviously, usually the stuff that works is always challenging, but that's where the rewards are. So it's about taking action, and it's about communicating as well. So I'd say both. You need therapy, you need somebody. It doesn't have to be therapy in the classic sense. It can if you want, but you need a coach. And I do that in my teaching when clients feel comfortable. If we have to do that, we'll go there, but we'll always come back to the original teaching that I found, which is the action taking. Because at the end of the day, it's a social anxiety, it's a social problem. So we're only going to improve the social problem by doing what it says on the tin, socializing. You have a social anxiety, you have a fear to socialize, a fear of people. What else would be a better replacement than that? Nothing. All the things that we do are ways of trying to get our minds around facing this fear. So basically, to sum it up, the way that you overcome social anxiety is by socializing again. And the reason why it's challenging for people, and it was challenging for me, because we've been hurt. It might not be true, but we feel we've been betrayed. Trust has been broken. We've been criticized. We've been judged. We've been shamed. We've been made to feel awful. So the mind's going to say, oh, I don't want to, people have done this to me. But then you start realizing that not everyone's like that. There are a lot of good people. And then you realize as well that we've got to take responsibility as well. We've made mistakes, because I made mistakes as well. I wasn't perfect. People bullied me. I'm sure at times I bullied back. I don't feel good about that, but we all make mistakes and we learn from it. So it's also about looking at your behaviors, and so that's a big part of it as well. And that builds self-esteem. I don't want to get too preachy and too cheesy, but the way you treat other people is a reflection of how you feel about yourself. I learned that the hard way. So you start being more conscientious of how you're treating others and how you're treating yourself, right? That doesn't mean you've got to be a doormat, and you've also got, so there's a lot of things that you learn, but this is, I'm really giving you the long answer, because I want to give you the most amount of value, and I'm a huge believer in, you can tell by my teaching, I've always believed in confession, communication, because it does work. But if you just do all this stuff and we just talk, and we don't take the action, you ain't going to transform enough. You're just going to be relieved. It's going to be like an addiction to therapy. And that's not enough in my experience. That is not enough for a person to change and to be able to go out and be confident and have great social skills and build a life for yourself. And that's what I aim to do on this channel. I am doing it. I want to continue to do it. And I'm glad that a lot of you keep asking me to do these videos, because there was a time, and I understand, where I'd get criticism. People would say, well, all you do is videos about social anxiety. But yeah, but that's because that's my teaching. That's what I'm passionate about. It's not all what I do, and the reason is because it's a complicated subject, and there's new people on the channel, and if it was just a case of one video and it would solve everyone's problems, then great, but it doesn't. We've got to keep working at these things, and it was the same for me. So it's a lot of work, but it's definitely worth it. So all the answers, and if you just look at all my videos, I'm always sharing my story. I'm kind of saying the same thing. I break things down. But yeah, you can totally transform. Anyone can do it if you're willing to work for it, and the rewards are worth it. The pain that you go through is worth it, 100%. I'm glad I went through all the pain. Not going through it is a lot more painful. So, you do it gradually as well. You've got to do it one step at a time. You're not expected to go out and just face everything. So, it's communicating, getting it out with someone that you trust, and then it's setting goals, it's going out. I mean, basically what I did was I hit it on every angle, because obviously there's different social situations, and I was scared of all of them. So I went to gyms, weightlifting gyms. I could get comfortable around, guys, new people. That gave me some confidence. Then I went to the boxing gym, and I got used to being around boxers, and I boxed as an amateur. That was really good. And then I started, going to personal development meet-up groups and learning from teachers and being in groups. That really helped me. Then I've done improvisation. Then I started to go to restaurants, cinemas on my own with friends, and then obviously I started going out. You guys know my story with the approaching. I started approaching women in public to get over the fear, and because I didn't like online dating, I don't like clubs, I don't like fakeness. I want genuine conversations. That's a huge part as well. I forgot to mention that. I'm so glad. See, you're always forgetting things. It's the communication that also heals you, and it's got to be honest. And that takes time. It's not easy for people. So that's a huge part of it, and I'm going to do a separate video on that. Please remind me, guys, because I sometimes forget, within taking action and being brave, the quality of your conversations is very important, because you can speak to a person, but you can hide and protect yourself. and you're not really dealing with the root cause of the problem, which is relationship issues. You know, that's what happened to me. I had a broken relationship myself, and that obviously projected onto my dad, my mum, people, everyone. So when you work on yourself and you fix your relationship yourself to the best of your ability, hasn't got to be perfect, but you've got to make it great, then you start realizing that you're getting on better with family, people. And that's what happens to quite a lot of the clients I've been working with at the moment. As a result of the work that we do, they're getting on better with their family, friends, they're dating, they're getting dates, girlfriend, improving their business. So it really is a whole development, and it's just amazing, man, when I think about it. So I hope nobody's put off by the the straightness of what I'm saying and the truth of it. But this is the thing, you're not going to change these things if you're not willing to be honest. But you build the tolerance and the honesty and the confidence and the courage and the social skills over time. So just start off, doing a little bit at a time. And you don't have to copy everything that I did. I'm just telling you what I've done. It might give you ideas. I also did public speaking, obviously starting a business, teaching other people to get over social anxiety, helping them also pushed me to improve mine. Because that was always my big goal, guys. I don't know what your goals are. You can let me know. It wasn't just about myself. I always wanted to teach. I always enjoyed helping people. That always came naturally as a kid. But I kind of lacked the confidence to really put myself out there. So, after practicing, I built up and was able to do it. So this is how you do it, right? All the answers are there. So if you've got any more questions, let me know in the box below. I'm going to make more videos on this. And some of you ask me questions about social anxiety in different areas. I'm always happy to do videos. I never get bored of talking about it. I'm passionate. So for some of you, you've got social anxiety with women. Some of you, it's getting on trains, traveling. So keep the questions going. I'm happy to answer them, all right? If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget, right, like the video, share it. Helps the channel grow, subscribe, and I always appreciate the comments in the box below, all right? I'll see you in the next video, Fearless.